So, welcome back, everyone, to this week's edition of Impactful Teamwork. I'm Julia Felton. I'm your host and guide as we delve into the topic of teamwork. And again, this week, I'm delighted to have another guest joining us. And my guest today is Victor Martinez. And Victor is the president and founder of Elite Life Coaching, which is a company that empowers individuals and organizations to achieve peak performance, be their best, and unleash hidden potential. And so I asked Victor to come along because I really resonated with a lot of what he's been posting about on LinkedIn. And somebody was talking about lessons from the barn to the boardroom, and he talks about lessons from the battlefield to the boardroom. So I thought we could share some experiences there as well. Victor, welcome to the show. Really delighted to have you here.
Julia, thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. I've been looking forward to this. And yeah, it's been great talking to you and on our interview and just looking forward to sharing and adding some value to your audience.
Oh, no. Thank you for joining us. I wanted to kick off with something I've just been recently reading about you, and I loved this phrase. You talk about excuses never build excellence. So I thought that was a great place to start because when we're in business, it's all about getting things done, whether it's as an individual or as a team. And yeah, we never get anything done if we make excuses. So perhaps you could just share with me a little bit more about your philosophy there.
Yes, it is easy to make excuses. I mean, we're creatures of habit. We want to take the path of least resistance, and it's easy to make excuse another time. I'm too tired. I'm not sure if it's going to work out, but it is easy to make excuses versus pursuing excellence. And there's a great quote I want to say is from Jim Rohn. This is if you do what's easy, life will be hard, and if you do what's hard, life will be easy. And so yeah, we just got to stop making excuses and start getting busy.
So, what is the biggest or the best excuse you've ever heard any of your clients give as a coach for not doing something? Because obviously, as coaches,
Oh my
we're trying to inspire and motivate people, right?
God. Julia, I'll tell you, I have to say that's a great question because I hear a lot of excuses, but I think the number one excuse that people will make is I don't have time. I don't have
Yeah.
time. And yet we all have the same amount of time. Every one of us has 24 hours in a day. And I say the difference between the beggar and the billionaire is that just what they do with their time. So it is just so important. Time is but people say time is money, okay? And I say no, it's not. Money you can always get. You can always get more money, but you can't get time back.
Yeah.
And so it is a gift. Every day is a gift. And if you remember, I got blown up in Iraq 18 years ago. 18 years ago last month. And I'm here by the grace of God. And so time for me is just it's something that I value dearly. Every single day I wake up. And but a lot of times people make the excuse I don't have time. And I say everybody's got the same amount of time. It's just how we manage ourselves with the time that God gives us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I talk a lot about energy management because, like you say, a lot of people talk about time management, but actually, it's about managing our energy around that. But I'm really curious,
Yes.
say you dropped a bombshell in there about your time on the battlefields and getting blown up. So, obviously, you've been in the front line. You are totally reliant on a team, your platoon, in order to survive out in those conditions. So, what are some of the top teamwork and leadership tips that you can share with us that you've learned on the battlefield that would be really helpful for business leaders to really get their heads around?
Yes. The military is just a team of teams. That's all it is, from a platoon to a company to a battalion to a brigade, all the way up to a division or a corps. It's just teams of teams, and teams have to work together. Individuals can score points, but it takes teams to win championships. And on the
Right.
battlefield, you rely on the person to your left flank and to your right flank. Because if you're going to go into a fight, you don't want to go in by yourself. You want to go in with a team. You want to go with the rifle squad. And that's how you really move forward. So it's just so important that the teamwork, you hear the saying, teamwork makes a dream work. And it is so important. And that's why I love your podcast that focuses on teams and teamwork. And so, yeah, it's just, I think the one thing is knowing who you have on the team. Everybody has different
Yeah.
strengths and weaknesses. And so you really have to know, okay, who do I have on my team and what do this person bring to the fight or what does this person bring to the table? And being able to use the everybody's talents to focus towards a common goal.
Yeah. And that's so important. And we talk about that a lot on the podcast about getting people in the right roles. And for most of us, thankfully, business isn't life and death, but obviously on the front line, it absolutely is for you. So how do you build trust with the people in your team? Because we always say trust is the foundation of everything in a team. So what are some of the things that happen within the military to help us really build that trust so that you can really rely on that person? Because you can be with them, but if you don't trust them and you know that you don't think they've got your back, that's not a great
Yeah.
place to be.
Yes. Julie, I would tell you, I think one of the ways that I was able to build trust with my soldiers was to be the example. Okay. A
Mm.
lot of folks will be given lip service and they'll say this and they'll say that, or you go do this or you go do that. And I think the best way that we can build trust with our teams is to be the example. And when you're out there leading from the front and you're doing, not just saying, people see that. And if you emulate excellence, they're going to follow that. Yeah, example is just so important in many things that we do. But I think that was probably looking back in my 28-year career, is I just did my best to be the best example that I could to inspire them. And then along the way, that would build trust.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. It's that role modeling, isn't it, within the workplace, to translate it back, that it is so important. And as leaders, we can talk a good talk, but if we don't behave a good way and behave
Yeah,
what we say that
yeah.
we want people to do, then people are never going to follow it. And it's this simple example, isn't it, about setting standards for our team that we always have to be on time for a meeting, and then spectacularly we're always late. So
Yes.
what are we subliminally telling people? We're saying it's okay to be late. Because I think trust is such an interesting subject because it's that thing that is so difficult to create and so easy to break, right? Really easy. And you must as well experience as a coach from that perspective. How do you build trust with your coaching clients, right? Because if they're going to get the best experience, they absolutely need to trust that you're a safe pair of hands for them to share with. So let's talk a little bit more about your coaching and how you help create that trust in the relationships, because that's exactly what we need to do in the workplace, and then how that translates into better performance for your clients.
Yes, I think it's very important to get to know your clients and what is it that they want to achieve? What is it they want to accomplish? Having a discovery session where you're finding out what are their goals, what have they done in the past, and really getting an understanding of where they want to be. If I don't know what it is that they want to achieve or where they want to be, then I really can't help them. So it's really taking time. Building that trust is getting to know them and asking the questions and just having some transparency. That is important. If you're not totally transparent about where you're at, then your coach can't help you go where is it that your desire to go. Yeah.
And these are the kind of same analogies, aren't they? Knowing where you want to go is exactly the same thing that we need to have in business, right? Knowing where we want to go, that clear vision. And I know when we spoke on the pre-call, you're really passionate about the power of why and knowing why we're in business and what we're doing. So I'm curious then, if this isn't too personal question to ask, why are you doing what you're doing? You alluded earlier on to what potentially could have been a life-changing event. So perhaps you can share for us why you do what you do and what drives Victor Martinez.
Another great question, Julia. I joined the military at 17 years old, and I didn't think it
Wow.
was going to be a 20-year career. I thought I was going to do 4 years, go serve my little time in the army, and then go home and go do something different. But the military was just an incredible opportunity to me. And I found out very quickly that I can make a difference. And I stayed in the Army as long as I did, not because of the pay. I don't know a whole lot of military people that become wealthy, but I stayed in the military because of people, because of the impact, because of making a difference between leading. And it was so rewarding to be able to coach, mentor, lead, train individuals to go on and achieve success at your level and even greater levels. So I do what I do because I want to make a difference. I want to help people achieve their goals. God brought me back from 3 combat tours, and I always say I'm here by the grace of God. And I just I think I know God made us for greatness, and every single one of us have greatness inside us. And sometimes it just takes a coach to pull that out, to help you bring that out, to unwrap that gift. We're all given a gift. And so again, it is very rewarding to be able to help people achieve goals. And my biggest why is I want to make a difference. I want to, when it's my time to go, I'll be 60 here on Saturday. I'll level 60. I
Oh,
don't, it's no more years. It's just level. So I'm always leveling up, but I'll be at level 60 on Saturday. And when my time comes, I just want to say, man, that bald-headed guy, he helped me level up. He helped me get to where I wanted to be. And I think ultimately, I think that's what God puts us here is to make other people's lives better, to make a difference and help our fellow man and woman.
yeah, and I love that. And one of the reasons I resonated so much with you is I have a similar why. How do we help unleash that hidden potential in people? Because people are so amazing, and if we can just harness them in the right way and help them see what opportunities are out there, what a difference that can make. And that's why I
Yes.
so love being able to work in teams and collaborate with other people, because I think that continual interaction with other people is what makes us greater. And I've just come back, we've just been running an equine facilitated leadership event in London, and there was a team of six of us running that. And I just love when you're in a team because you've got that support and you know that other people have got your back. I've got a high level of trust with the other people I work with as well. And it just makes everything so much more enjoyable. And I know elevates my performance to make me be the best I can be, not in a competing or I've got to be better than you way, but in
Yes.
a can we all be our best version of ourselves to give even more to the client.
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
So,
who you have around you on your team makes a big difference, and you feed off of each other. You inspire one another, and so it's great to have a team of people around you that you trust, that motivate you and elevate you. That is huge.
and within business, that's really the leader's role, right? Is to be both. Nowadays, leaders are absolutely wear the hat of coach for all of their team members. And then hopefully somebody is their coach as well to help support them on their journey. And I'm just curious about what you do in the military if you have somebody in your platoon or your division who isn't of that ilk, who is that rogue employee, right? We've all had them, that actually everything they're doing is causing a bit of destruction. And I'm just wondering how you would deal with it in that situation, because I've had it in the workplace. I've had that rogue employee, and you keep, I don't know, maybe it was me. I just kept trying to make it better for them and tried to get them on the team, and it just wasn't working. And in the end, for what I actually realized was when my team said to me, Julia, if that team member doesn't go, we're all going. I was like, oh dear. That was the level of destruction
Yeah.
that somebody not aligned on the team can achieve. And obviously, in the situations that you're in on the battlefield, you just can't carry that. So, how do you weed that out earlier enough so it doesn't become a problem?
Yes. Part of being a leader, part of being a person in a business that's responsible for people and profits is being able to have those difficult conversations, those crucial conversations, and really doing your best to fix that because it does impact everybody else. And so a lot of it is just performance counseling, sitting down with people and seeing what is their role and where they're at. Everybody has blind spots, and maybe they don't know they're not, maybe they don't realize they're being a maverick when they question everything you tell the team to do. And so it is so important to be able to have those critical, vital conversations. And I had many of them in the military, many of them, because again, it was lives at stake. And you just don't have room in the military to have those mavericks that want to do things their way, the lone wolf. Again, it's all about a
Mm.
team. And so I think it's just many times leaders don't want to have those conversations. We don't want to stir the boat. We don't want to cause any waves and or hurt people's feelings, but it's not about hurting people's feelings. It's about the team and achieving the goals, the collective goals together. Yeah, sometimes we just got to sit down and have those difficult conversations and close the door. And I was really big on loyalty as well. You don't have to agree on
Mm.
everything. You don't have to agree on everything, but in the end, loyalty is so important for accomplishment of the mission. Yeah.
And that's such an interesting topic, isn't it? It's something we don't really talk about much in business is about loyalty. As you've been saying that, I'm just thinking aloud. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah. And I'm just thinking about back to my experience in corporate. Yeah, when I built really good trust with team members and you looked after them well, then they did. They became really loyal to the business. And I think when I first started out in business, I was actually really loyal to the companies I worked for.
Yes.
Looking back on
Hmm.
it now, and you're loyal until something happens and somebody or a company, yes, isn't quite as ethical as they should be, let's say,
Yeah.
or whatever might be. And then you lose that trust and perhaps you lose that loyalty with them.
Yeah,
Mm.
loyalty was something that was very important. You can be very highly intelligent, you can be effective at what you do, but that loyalty is so important. It goes beyond. And so that was a subject that I always talked about. Loyalty to the organization, loyalty to the team, loyal to the mission. If you own a business, you're going to be loyal to the product that you sell. It's very simple, business 101. If I owned a Ford dealership, I'm not going to be driving a Chevrolet. I'm going to be loyal to my brand.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's loyalty on so many different levels, isn't it? As you're talking there, it's loyalty to your suppliers, loyalty to the product, loyalty to the customers, loyalty to your team members. Yeah, it's such a big topic, loyalty. And we talk about a lot here in retail in the UK, customer loyalty schemes are always the big thing. And that they're obviously designed to try and keep you shopping in one store rather than another. But we don't really have any like employee or team loyalty schemes, because I'm thinking aloud here. I'm like, that's interesting. Maybe there's something there for business that we need to reward our team members more for their loyalty for the ones that show up.
We had a creed in the military, some of the units that I serve with, camaraderie, loyalty, excellence. So that's where it's so important to come up with those key words that's going to describe what is it you want to achieve. And so, again, camaraderie was very important to us. Discipline was very important to us. And then loyalty was one of those ingredients that I think helped us
Mhm.
to create some of the very, very elite units that I served in. Yeah.
And I'm curious there, camaraderie, we talk a lot about businesses run on relationships. And in the military, that camaraderie is almost like the relationships on steroids, I'm guessing, right?
It is. The military is a very unique profession where it's a brotherhood. It's like you said, if you treat people well, and as a leader, I did my best to create a climate. A commander that I served with, one of our goals was to create a climate where people loved coming to work. They had pride, camaraderie, they were proud to be part of that organization. And so we did a lot to foster that with having team building events, really having fun at what we did. And yeah, I think it's important for organizations to really identify some key words that they can say, hey, these are the pillars of our
Yeah.
organization, and identify those key words that's going to describe what they stand for. Yeah.
Yeah, and that really then starts relating to the values, isn't it? Of what's in the organization and then what's driving absolutely everything in the military, camaraderie, discipline, loyalty, trust, all these sorts of things really driving performance. So, what in your experience then has been the best example of where you have seen a team or a group of people, either you've been part of or maybe you've observed, that has really embodied teamwork as at an excellent level?
I served in a number of units throughout my career, but I have to go back and think of a brigade that I served with. And ultimately, I took over as a brigade. So I was a battalion. I had a battalion with about 500 men and women, and I was part
Wow.
of a brigade of 5,000. And that commander, General Bob Brown, was just a dynamic leader. He was a team builder. And in order for the brigade to be effective, he had to create teamwork across the organization. And so it takes, like I said, individuals can score points, but it takes a team to win a championship. And we're going into a combat as a brigade. He wanted the artillery to know what the infantry was doing. He wanted the infantry to know what the support units were doing. And he would do a lot of team building events. And that was a dream team. I was just humbled to after that deployment to come back and take over that unit. And I did my best to carry on some of those same things, team building. And sometimes people didn't realize, why are you doing this? It's to build teams, to have fun. So
Oh, yeah.
I just look back on really creating an organization where people know who's onto your left, who's onto your right, what is their mission, what are their roles, and really combining. It was combined arms, is what they call it, a combined arms effort. And that's when you really take things to the next level. Yeah, I just look back on that. It was called the Lancer Brigade, the 25th Infantry Division. And
Wow.
ultimately, like I said, I deployed with them the first time, then we reflagged. And then I became in charge of the brigade, 5,000 men and women. And I went back to Iraq again for a second time. But a lot of lessons that I learned from back then, Colonel Brown, now four-star retired general, was that teamwork of really bringing organizations together. He said something that really resonated. If you have a great idea and you keep it to yourself and your unit does well, that's awesome. But if you share that idea across the organization and everybody rises up, then that's phenomenal. And so it's so important. A rising tide raises all ships. And so I think really sharing those ideas with other teams and not necessarily who gets the credit, but just making the entire organization better. Those were some of the memories that I had of that organization.
Yeah, and that's just such a great example of losing your own ego for the betterment of everything around us, right? To make it
Yes.
the best thing ever. And I think that
Yeah.
can be a challenge for some leaders. There's still an old school out there that it's all about them, but we know more and more. And I think ironically, the advent of AI and the internet and so much information now means that one leader can't know everything, right? Because you're just overloaded.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about concepts of shared leadership, and in that situation, if you're going to make shared leadership or co-leadership work, you actually have to lose your own ego and be able to collaborate and work with somebody else. And for people listening who want to know a bit more about shared leadership, I think I would refer you to 2 weeks ago on the podcast when we were talking about that, and the co-CEOs of companies like Netflix and Comcast, where they've actually had to bring in co-CEOs because there's so much going on, so that they can all work together effectively to manage the data deluge, for want of a better word, of what's out there. So it's really interesting. And I just love that there's so many parallels that we can always take to business. In your case, from the battlefields, in my case, from the barn and the fields here, that there's
Yeah.
so much around us that we can learn about if we just open our eyes to see the lessons out there. And I know we were talking before about really the military is such a well-oiled machine, a massive ecosystem that works really well together, just like nature is an ecosystem that works so well
Yeah.
together. And I think sometimes we can be guilty in business of not realizing how we're part of the broader ecosystem and how what we do in that business impacts everyone else, stakeholders, suppliers, customers, everyone else.
Mhm.
There's a real danger that we don't fully appreciate that. And I think that's what's so great about the ecosystem of the military. It always looks, at least from the outside, like it's a well-oiled machine where everything works pretty seamlessly together. And I'm sure that's not always the case, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's the military. There's a lot of, I was humbled to, like I said, to serve the years that I did. A lot of lessons learned that you can apply into life, into business. And it's just invaluable to be able to work with teams and leaders and examples. I always say my claim to fame was having mentors. And that's a great takeaway I had from the military. I was recently on another podcast and the interviewer asked me, he says, Vic, I'm gonna see if you think on your feet. He says, what would you say is the fastest path to success for somebody? And I said, that's easy. You need a coach. You need a mentor. You need somebody who's been there, done that, who can show the way. He knows where the potholes are. He knows where the obstacles are and helps you guide you through that. Yeah, that was huge for me in the military is having mentors that can help me. And that's why I really enjoy being a coach to help other people. Yeah.
yeah, and I remember in business when I had my first ever coach, actually, when I was in the corporate world. So, what it enables you to do is see such a different perspective on what's going on around you. And I think you and I have talked, we're both here in this podcast, we've both got a set of glasses on literally today, but we all see completely different things, right? We've all got a different reality of life. And I think that's what's so great about coaching is that it enables us to see that different perspective. And as a leader within a business, we can therefore coach and help our team members to see a different perspective on things that then enables them to maybe step up, find new opportunities, and become the best that they can be. So
Yeah.
I'm just conscious of where we are on time and stuff. I know that we were sharing, you've been writing some books or you're writing a book at the moment. Just tell us a little bit about those so that we can pique the listeners' interest for a few months' time when they come out.
Yeah. I am writing a book, and the title is Maneuvering the Minefield from Mediocrity to Mastery.
Wow.
And I think everybody wants to master. I think everybody wants to pursue excellence. Nobody wants to be average and just do the mundane thing daily over and over. I think we want to really achieve high levels and achieve mastery in areas of our life, in business, in finance. And so, yeah, that's the book that I'm writing. I look to have it out early, probably next year. And it's been fun. It's been one of my goals to write a book. And I've had a lot of ideas for titles and different things. Another book I had started to write was actually Maneuvering the Minefield from Employment to Entrepreneurship. And
Oh, yeah.
that was a book that I started. I got a few chapters into it. I said, I'm going to put that one on the back burner. I'm going to talk about mediocrity to mastery. And I think that would help a lot of folks. Yeah, it's been fun writing that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so many lessons that you can draw on for that, I'm sure. And so I really look forward to reading that when it's out because, like you say, yeah, I think we all want to be the best that we can be, right? And too many people, unfortunately, have been a little bit conditioned by society to accept mediocrity. That's so sad. And I think both of us have a mission and a passion to help people realize that they can achieve mastery, they can be the best version of themselves out there, whether you're an individual in your own business, whether you're within a team, within an organization, or you're leading an organization, everyone has this potential to do that. I know that you've got some free resources on your website that you said that you would happily share with people. So what is the best way for people to find you? What's your website? I know we'll put the links in the chat so that people can get them on the show notes.
Yes, I will send the link to my website there at
Okay.
elitelife.coach.com. And yeah, they can see a bio and they can see some of the subjects and areas that I can help them with. They can book a call with me. So yeah, I welcome that opportunity to help them master their success and create a culture and just elevate their team performance. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much indeed. Is there anything else you want to add just before we bring this to a close? Any final words of wisdom to put you on the spot like your other podcaster did?
Mm. No, Julie, I'm just grateful. Thank you for the opportunity. I know you've got a huge audience, and if I can add some value to folks, that was a very humbling opportunity for me. And yeah, I'll send you the link to my website. As a matter of fact, here very shortly, within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have a self-studied course, 7 different modules to just elevate their performance. So I'll have that completed, and people can access that and just take their life to another level.
Wow, that's very generous. Thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for being on the show. And everyone, I'm sure you also appreciate having Vic on the show today. And we will catch you again next week. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Teamwork isn't just nice to have in business, it's the undisputed competitive advantage. When your team members work as a unified force, your whole operation benefits through higher productivity, thriving creativity, and unstoppable momentum. Welcome to the Impactful Teamwork Podcast, where we share with you strategies and tactics to help you develop game-changing teams so that you and your business can make a real difference in the world.